Good morning, everybody. Wonderful to see you all here. Thanks for showing up. I'm imagining, tell me if I'm wrong here, everyone who is here right now saw SHEILA E last night? I know there's a bunch who weren't applauding because you're going tonight, right? Wait until you see. We know, those of us who were there last night, how incredible a show it was. And I'm excited to get to sit down and talk with SHEILA. We haven't actually had long conversations, well, probably since the last cruise that she was on, however many years ago that was. But 19? Thank you. How is your memory so fucking good? My memory, I can't remember crap anymore. So 2019 it was. She's a fascinating person to me because of her drive, because of, for those of us who saw her last night, because of what she and her band brings to the stage and what they share with all of us. You know, I walked out last night, as those who were there last night, I walked out just feeling like refreshed and revived, that we were sharing, we were talking like civilized people to each other. We were looking at each other and going, yeah, I love you, I understand you, I got you. And that is what we need more of, and I love that SHEILA and her band are doing exactly that. So please welcome SHEILA E. They love you.
They have to get up early. Good Lord. I am so sleepy. You hear my voice. They were saying they were going to have it in the big room. Like, we should just go to a small room. Everyone's sleeping. We're out to sea. I'd be sleeping. And look at this. Seriously, thank you so much. This is crazy. I appreciate it. So I couldn't see, but I know you asked in the beginning, how many saw the show last night?
It's about half.
That's awesome. Okay, well, we'll see the rest of you later on.
So, hi.
Good morning.
I'll try and talk softer.
Oh, no, I wasn't drinking like that, no. Running around the stage, your body, like I said, I feel like I want to be 21, but my body says, lay down. What are you doing? Jeez.
Well, I've been asking artists to pick a couple of songs, just as sort of a starting point for the conversation, and you picked two, one of which I couldn't find.
I think your wife just found it.
You do?
No, for real.
Jill, did you just find it? Well, I wanted to the first one that you picked, and this is sort of where I wanted to start with you, I wanted to talk a little bit about you growing up and the relationship with your dad, and how it happened. You could have picked up any instrument, even though your dad, was a percussionist. So how did that evolve? What are your earliest memories, seeing your dad play, I'm sure, and then going from there?
Those of you who don't know, my dad is the legendary percussionist Pete Escondido.
Yes.
He will be 90 and he's still playing. So that's right. I don't know if I could do what he's doing, but anyway.
You're on the road.
Jeez. My dad, he started playing, he said saxophone at first. I never saw him play saxophone, but he played percussion. And my earliest memory, my parents told me that there was a Jiffy commercial that would come on, and I would freak out about the Jiffy commercial, run over like 3 years old, trying to get up and go to the TV and the Jiffy commercial. So I don't know. That was like their first inkling of, wow, she loves melody, music. And then at 5 years old, My dad was playing a show with his brothers called the Escovedo Brothers. I'm born and raised in Oakland, California. And so there was, yay, baby, security, I said that. But they played this show, and it was called the Sands Ballroom. And I remember my mom getting me dressed because she said, you're gonna go play with your dad and his brothers. I was like, oh, 5 years old, I was at my grandmother's house. I remember more getting dressed, to the concert, putting on those black patent leather shoes that won't bend, with with the strap and little white socks and a dress. I remember walking up to the event and going up the stairs. I could hear my dad playing, even from outside. And as I went up, I could hear the music getting louder and louder and louder. I was like, oh my God. I was so excited. My mom's holding my hand. My dad sees us at the front door, and he looks over, he goes, oh, my wife and my daughter are here, so we're gonna invite SHEILA to come up and play. And to me, this is how I remember it at 5 years old. I felt like everyone was, of course, so tall, so I'm looking like, whoa, and everyone just parted like the Red Sea, like everyone just moved out the way. And we walked through, and my dad picked me up on the side of the stage, brought me right here, and stood me on like a chair for me to play congas. I remember everything before that. Like, as soon as I got on the stage, I don't remember anything. And he said I played well. He would say that, but that's the first me performing with my dad at 5. But I listened to music. He brought music in the house every day. It was mostly music, listening to Motown, from jazz to Latin jazz. And then at one point, watching him practice, he practiced the vinyl every day. And his vinyl collection was amazing. He always wanted to be a part of the Rat Pack, Sammy Davis Jr. and Dean Martin and Frank Sinatra. He loved, I could be the Mexican Frank Sinatra. And so he loved playing music and practicing every single day. There were times that there were other percussionists. They would do jam sessions at our house. And also sometimes his entire band in the living room playing. We didn't have furniture. It was just mostly percussion instruments. Really, we didn't have much furniture.
Like I said, you do play other instruments.
A little bit.
A little bit. But what was it, or do you remember when it was that you went, yeah, drums?
Oh, way long after that. When my dad noticed that I was loving playing his drums, or percussion, it wasn't drums, he noticed that I kind of liked it a little bit. But I was really young in elementary school. I love sports. My mom is an athlete, and so I wanted to be an athlete. And I was actually training to be in the Olympics, but I'll get to that.
What event?
I'm not telling you yet.
So, is there a percussion event in the Olympics?
Kind of. But in the 3rd grade, my dad noticed and said, you know what, I want you to play another instrument. So I got excited, like, maybe it's drums, maybe, I don't know. And he says, I want you to learn how to play violin. I'm like, I'm gonna get beat up every day. The neighborhood that we grew up in is not gonna like me carrying a violin. Like, it's not gonna work. Anyway, I started playing violin. And my ear was so good, and I have to say it in that way, that anything that you would do, like if you would play something, I would mimic it right away. So I went on for years, 5 years, scholarships to go to school. I was first violinist. I didn't even read music. I faked my way through because I just looked at the page, because if you played something, it was like, I was like, oh, I got that. I wouldn't even look at the page. It looked like black and white. It was black, markings on the paper. So I never really read music, but I was first violinist. And then that goes back to training for the Olympics. So I loved music, never thought it would be my career, because I knew that I was going to win a gold medal in the Olympics, because I was that good. I felt that I was. I I was track and field, running, as you can tell, running track and playing soccer on a women's undefeated team for 5 years. Yeah.
Something like that, I know that I'm destined to win a gold medal.
For sure.
That's a hell of a driving force for a kid.
Well, what's crazy, everyone else always used to ask me, like, what did you want to be in growing up, you know? And I said, well, just two things. The first woman on the moon. Why would I even think that? I don't know. The first woman on the moon as an astronaut, of course, and the second was to win a gold medal in the Olympics. I don't know. I mean, again, it was the competition, it was competing. I loved competing, and I loved running. But it's crazy because even through all that, the one time when I said, oh my God, wait a minute, it's music, was playing with my dad. He was playing in San Francisco, and his other percussion player got sick. So my dad plays timbales, these are timbales, and the congas are the ones that kind of sit down and play. And his other percussion player was sick. And I said, Dad, they were signed to Clive Davis at the time, going out on tour with Temptations, Stevie Wonder, and Earth, Wind, and Fire. So he had this 1823-piece band. And I said, Daddy, I can play the music. He goes, get out of here, you're only 15, you don't know anything. I was like, but I know all the songs. They couldn't find anyone. So I went, Mommy, Daddy won't let me play. You know I got my way. So Miles went over there and told him, honey, you let her play. She knows the music. He's like, oh, okay. So I play the show. That show at 15 years old changed my life. Literally changed my life. My dad was playing this one song, particular song, and he motioned to me, he's like, take a solo. And I was like, oh my God. So, you know, you're with a band that you look up to, even though it's your dad, but like this band was amazing. It's called Azteca. They were playing with everyone. It's like, you know, I'm 15 years old, so I felt like, oh, I need to sit up taller, and I'm gonna play, and I'm gonna show my daddy I can play, I can do this, and you know, so he tells me to take a solo. So I take a solo, I close my eyes, I started playing. Literally this happened. I had an out-of-body experience. My body, I don't even know how to say my body, it's an out-of-body experience. I was looking down at me playing. I saw all of this, looking down, and I'm going, while I'm taking the solo, I'm playing with my eyes closed, I'm hearing the music, but why am I seeing the whole thing? Like, this doesn't make sense. And I kept playing, and I'm like, what the heck? And then I realized it didn't even matter, I was just playing. And finally, when I opened my eyes, the crazy thing happened. I started to open my eyes, and I didn't realize that anyone was even in the room. I didn't know where I was. And I'm still playing, and then it felt like the music started to come in, and I started hearing the music. And I heard the audience, and they were screaming and yelling and clapping. And when I opened my eyes and realized, wait, I'm still playing, I started shaking, and I started crying. And I'm like, I don't know what just happened to me. And my dad's looking at me with his mouth open like, what just happened? And so after that solo and the song ended and I got a standing ovation, and I was just shaking, like every part of me, it took for me to play that solo. After 2 songs after that, we got off stage, and I grabbed my dad and I said, Daddy, this is what I want to do. Forget winning the gold medal. I know that I'm supposed to be a musician. This is it. I'm going to go out on tour with you. He goes, no. Are you kidding me? And I was like, Daddy. And actually, then we hugged and he started crying. We both started crying because it's like, I didn't realize, you know, how much you knew. And I said, I didn't either. I don't know. Like, I felt like I had been holding it in for so long. And 2 weeks later, I went out on tour with my dad. It was the first time I ever went on a plane. And we flew to Bogota, Colombia. So it was like 2 weeks later, I'm on tour, and I'm still on tour. That's how it started. it's crazy. I do have to say though, I didn't win the gold medal, and that's okay because then God said you're gonna get gold albums and platinum albums, and that's, he turned it around, as he does.
So maybe we should play the song that you picked.
Oh, the first one?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
So this is a song called Solo 2.
Yeah.
Check it out. There it is. Guess if you practice this song, I probably know this one. So why did you pick this? It's good. Why did you pick that song?
Why are you gonna just stop my song? I'm just kidding.
Believe me, listen, I'm a DJ. To cut off a song in the middle is sacrilege to me. Believe me, Sheila, I'm so sorry. The song, as you well know, the song is 6.5 minutes, so.
Where are we going?
Fair enough.
No, it's all good. Yeah, so Solo 2 was the first album that I actually recorded live in the studio, saying live, like the whole band got together. Billy Cobham, does anyone know who he is? He's a famous drummer? Yeah. So Billy Cobham is an incredible drummer, and my dad and I were playing in San Francisco at this little small club, and he came in and he's like, "Oh my God, I love you guys. I want to come back and produce an album on you, father and daughter." And we're like, "Oh, that would be exciting." And we're thinking, he's not going to come back and do it. No one ever does. He did. About 3 months later, he came back from tour. So we recorded at Fantasy Studios in Berkeley. And so I signed my first deal with my dad, whatever year that was. I have no idea. 73, 4, 5, I don't know, something like that. But I was young still, and that song called Solo 2 was the title of the album itself, and Billy Cobham produced it. And it just meant a lot, like, for me to be in the studio. It freaked me out because back in the day, they'd have, when you see it on television, it says recording with the red light. As soon as that red light goes on, you're like, it's beginning. And it was so it's nerve-wracking. As soon as that light would turn on, I would just get scared and nervous, and so I would try not to look at it and just wait for him to count, the song in. And playing that song, they wanted me to take a conga solo. To play with Billy Cobham, with my dad, an entire band, you don't want to mess up. And so I learned very early that recording like this album was something special because I had never done it before professionally. But to play with these amazing artists and my dad, and you're playing the song down and then it's time for your solo, you're going to solo. Whatever that is what it is. You're not going to overdub. Like, you're going to play it as if you were playing it live. So it's one time only. And I took that as a lesson to every time I play, like when we do sound check, I play sound check like it's the show. Because you're not going to know until you do it. And what if in the middle of this show last night, I didn't like my solo and I said, "Stop, wait, I want to do it again." That doesn't even make sense. You can't do that, So it's like you go for it 150% on the first take. And I'm kind of...
Deliver the best take every time.
Every time, yeah.
It's a great lesson,
Yeah.
but unusual for a recording studio. That kind of situation is all about, let's get it perfect. Let's do it again, and again, and again.
Yeah, some producers do that, and it's challenging because after a while, now you're on autopilot, and then the feeling is different. It sounds different, and you end up going back to the first take anyway because you're not thinking about it. You're just playing from your heart.
So there was this moment on stage where your life changed, and everything from then on has been in music and following the pursuit of music. What was the next moment for you where you go, here, this is another signpost. This is another moment in my life. There was the work that you did with your dad, and then you started to branch out. You started to do some other stuff.
Well, after Billy Cobham, I ended up, which was very challenging, playing with my dad for so long, and then George Duke came along. Anyone know who George Duke is? Oh, awesome. He's an amazing piano player, but he plays all type of music. And him and George and Billy had a band together. And then George was going out on tour and asked my dad's permission. He said, I'll take care of her and make sure she's okay, to take her out on tour. So it was hard because I felt like I didn't want to leave my dad, playing with someone else. So that was now, I'm branching out as a percussion player. Playing with George Duke led me to play with so many others, because then there was these tours that were called the Cool Jazz Festivals. And that's when I met like George Benson, Ashford and Simpson, LTD at the time. Anyone who was big at the time were on these performances. So then I branched out to play with other people. I started going out on tour and playing with Herbie Hancock and Diana Ross for a short second. Marvin Gaye was the biggest. I did Marvin Gaye's last tour before he passed away. Yeah, that was huge. Can I say I know I talk a lot. I'm sorry.
No, this is why we're all here. We want to hear you talk, right?
Because there's a gazillion stories, but I want to say this. So playing with Marvin Gaye, I've learned this is a thing. Playing with so many artists, I love that. I like being in the front and being a solo artist, but I love just as much in the back, being a part of a unit. I've learned so much from so many artists. Marvin Gaye, I first started playing, I don't have Congress here.
Oh, all right.
No, it's Mother, you know that song, right? There's too many, so that's called What's Going On. Yeah, all right, I know. What's Going On? It's an amazing song, right? So in junior high school, I used to be in the back of the bus, and I would play that song on the window. Doom, doom, gak, doom, doom, gak. And I was like, I love this song. I finally got asked, the road manager came to one of my dad's performances, and he said, I have someone who wants to hire you. You don't have to audition. He just wants you to know that if you want the gig, you can come out on tour with him, because he would love to have you. I was like, who? And he goes, Marvin Gaye. I was like, are you kidding? And I said, Daddy, I'm going out on tour with Marvin Gaye. I didn't even ask him. So I go to, we're rehearsing, and with Marvin, it's like, I get to play that beat that I learned when I was in like elementary school, whatever, that song came out. And it's like, oh my God, this is Marvin Gaye, oh my God. So I'm playing, and he had a 26-piece band. I ended up bringing my brother in because I wanted my brother to go out on tour. He wasn't officially hired, but I got him in rehearsals, and Marvin thought he was in the band. He did, he had no idea. And then I got my cousin as another percussion, so there's 3 of us. And they thought all of us were in the band. It's like, okay, cool. So we're playing 3 percussion players. There are like 5 singers, 6 horn players, 3 keyboard players, 2 guitar players, drums. There were a lot of people, right? We're playing that song at rehearsal. Marvin always came up to us and he would say, hey, how you doing? He's just soft-spoken. How's mom and dad? Oh, tell him I said hello and I love it. Always soft-spoken and say, oh, God bless you, whatever, right? He's singing to our back and we're playing that song. So I'm playing that beat. Dun, dun, ga, dun, dun, da. We're rehearsing. Dun, dun, ga. And I said, man, this feels good. No one was really dancing. You know I love to dance. So I started dancing. Dun, ga, dun, dun. I started doing the Jackson 5. This is what like everybody knows this. We start, and then my brother and my cousin, and so the three of us, and the horn players are going, well, we can do that too. So all of a sudden, the entire band starts doing the Jackson 5 thing, and it was like amazing. I was like, hoo-hoo, yeah, right? So I'm playing, and I hit the other drum because I was like, this feels good. I hit the other drum, and all of a sudden, Marvin, in the midst of playing What's Going On, he says, hold it, hold on. Like he yelled, and everyone freaked out, and you just hear sticks falling, what the heck is happening? I'm like, wow. And he turns around, because he had his back to us, so he turns around and he looks at the band and he said, someone played an extra beat. If you could hear my heart, it was gonna come out of my chest. I'm like, wait, he didn't say someone played like an extra note. He said beat. So I looked like this to the drummer. Immediately. And I was like, and I looked at him like, I know you. And he's like, did I? You know, kind of thing. And you could hear a church mouse. It was so quiet. Silence. And I was like, oh my God, I'm fired already. I'm not even going out on tour. This is horrible. Oh. Excuse me, Mr. Gaye. I'm so sorry. My brother will never do that again. True story. My brother owed me because, again, Marvin didn't even know he wasn't in the band, so they told him to go put on a tuxedo and get ready for the tour. The point is that even if we had 3 sets of congas, bongos, we had so many chimes, toys, tambourines, 3 sets of tuba, we took up half the stage. That being said, that even though we have all of this, the most important part of music is the space. The space is what lets music breathe and create. And if we're playing on top of each other and not playing what's supposed to be, then it becomes something else. And so even with all of that, I learned when not to play. When not to play, from that day, 1982, stood with me like when not to play. And that's what I love, like in orchestras and symphonies, they're playing, and you have the percussion player. He's holding a triangle for like 20 minutes, waiting to hit the one ding, you know, like that's obedience. Like that's hard. So I love that, but that's the point. Like that's another great lesson for me, was when not to play, even though you have all of these instruments. That was my Marvin Gaye story.
That is a great story. You and I were in a documentary together that just came out last year.
Yes, we were so young. My hair was black.
And so was mine. The Greatest Night in Pop was about, did anybody see it? About the making of We Are the World. And it was, I think, the greatest night in pop, and an interesting night for you. You and I were I think the piece was actually the Purple Rain premiere, and I said, so SHEILA, what are you looking for tonight? Prince. Okay, cool. So what else? Anything else going to be happening? Prince. I think you said Prince like 5 times to every question I could come up with. How did you feel about that movie? How did you think that it portrayed the night?
Oh, it was incredible. There were things that had happened, in the midst of being a part of it, that some things you just don't know. And it was incredible to see, incredible to be in the room. For me, at the beginning, it was different because this was my first time as a solo artist, and I was able to play on American Music Awards, and it was a big deal for me to play on a show like that. And all the people that were nominated that year, knowing that I was going to be in front of all of these artists. And the bigger deal, Dick Clark was a friend of mine, and he always gave me slack because, I hate to say it, but half the time I walked in naked, and he's like, can you put some clothes on? And they had to censor me half of the time. So he's like, go check Sheila's wardrobe. You know, I had to be censored a lot. So stupid, but anyway. It's so dumb, things we do when we're young. So anyway, the biggest thing for me was I had the light sticks. You know, did anyone see the lighted sticks that I used on American Music Awards? That was a big deal. Like, we had these made for the tour. The network did not want to turn all the lights off during a performance. Like, it's never going to happen. No one has ever done it. It's not going to work. We're not turning off the lights because what if your sticks don't turn on? And then the screen goes black, the network, and everyone's fired. It's not going to happen. I said, but I promise you, it's going to work. So when you go back and look at the performance of Glamorous Life, you'll see that they delayed turning the lights down to see the lighted sticks. The sticks went on before they went on, yeah. But that was a big deal for me. So I was all into, oh my God, I was so scared. And I, you know, performing, I see Elizabeth Taylor and all these people going, God, help me. You know, this is like the people that you admire, and they're staring at you, looking at you playing. And after we were done, then I was, you know, so happy. I had been up 3 days. We were on tour, and with Prince and I, we stayed up all the time, and we were exhausted. So I had already been up 3 days. I go to the hotel room, and they're like, you got to get ready for the taping and filming of We Are the World. And I'm like, wait, what are we doing? I totally forgot about it. So I go, and we walk in, and you couldn't bring anyone. You could only bring one person, and that person, my road manager, goes to the back where all the other road managers or publicists. I walk into the room, and I'm like, Cyndi Lauper, I want to meet Cyndi Lauper. You know, she was the first person I wanted to meet. And I said hi to, hi, Sheila. You know, she just, hey, how's it going? You know, that was a horrible interpretation of it. But she was just amazing. So she was one of the first to talk with me. But I knew the Jacksons because I had met the Jacksons back in Michael in, I don't know, 75 or 76. I knew them as the Jacksons or the Jackson 5. I knew the Pointer Sisters, Huey Lewis and the News. I mean, a lot of the artists I knew, but you know, there were some, like, not officially saying hi to Bruce Springsteen, the boss. Oh my God.
Dylan?
Huh?
Bob Dylan?
And Bob Dylan. Well, he didn't speak much, but he's very quiet.
One of the things about the doc was, a lot of it I think people had seen, but there was some footage that was brand new and that gave us an insight into that night and the politics of the night.
Absolutely.
And
a lot of politics.
You know, that whole leave your ego at the door thing was
and
fine.
They did. Kinda.
Kinda.
Most everyone did.
Yeah.
And there were things, even after seeing the whole thing, there were things I remembered happening that weren't in there, which was fine. But to really see all that was going on and meet these people and be in a room, when I spoke with my parents after, they told me, I said that I felt like I shouldn't have been in the room. I said, because these are superstars and they're amazing, and I didn't feel like I should be in the room. And then even later, finding out why they had me in the room in the first place.
I was going to ask you how you felt you were portrayed in that.
Well, it was horrible. I didn't know until I started feeling it later and realizing, wait a minute, they're not going to let me sing anyway. They just wanted Prince, and I was the only one talking to him. When Lionel says, oh, I called Prince, he didn't call Prince, I did. But they changed things for the movie. But I called him because I said, I think you should be here because everyone's here. There are only like a few people that weren't there, Madonna and a couple others that had been popular at the time. He says, you think I should come? I was like, yeah, you should come. He goes, well, let me see. Then I called him back later because Quincy was asking me, and Lionel, well, do you think he's coming? I was like, I don't know. They kept asking me. Then I realized, something's not right. And they're taping the names down, as you saw, and my name was not on there. I was like, this is horrible. And again, being up 3 days, I got very emotional and I got sad. I was sad. And I was like, I'm just going to leave. And they go, oh, okay. And I'm like, wow. And I walked out of the room just heartbroken. Yeah, it was sad.
It really, I came away from that feeling like, damn, I had no idea. Well, fuck them. I mean, it was really...
that wasn't even the point. No, because the point was, and is and has been raising money for the people. That's
Fair
what
enough.
it's about. It's not about me getting my feelings hurt. Forget it. It's not about me.
Did Diana Ross really start the autograph session? In the movie, it's like Diana Ross started going up to people and saying how amazed she was to meet people and started getting autographs. And
Absolutely. No, it was real. She did, and it was a brilliant idea. I did get a couple myself because everyone had the music to sing, and they were and then it started, and everyone started signing. I don't know where mine is either. That's too bad.
Can you describe the sense, the feeling that night? Was there? I mean, I worked Live Aid, and I remember all of us who worked Live Aid felt. I mean, whatever minuscule part we were, we felt like we were a part of something.
Absolutely.
Did you feel that way that night?
No, it really was amazing until like 4 a.m, but it really was amazing, the whole experience. And then once Bob from Live Aid came over and spoke to everyone and said the realization of why we were here, you know, because it was all a great time, and it's like really a sense of when we sing this, what does it really mean? We're raising money for people and saving lives, and that's what it was about. And there's still, We Are the World is the only entity, well, actually not entity, but it's the only time they did that, raising money that night, and continued people just giving from the sales of the record and different things like that from the single. They've never had another, like, let's do another benefit for them. People keep giving, and it's its own thing that just keeps growing, and people keep giving. And it's amazing how much money they've raised to have so many villages. Yeah, it's beautiful.
So as I say, I felt badly for you that they kind of, you know, they sucked you in on a false premise. Having said all of that, when you look back, what is your sense of that night? And even more so, it sounded like the more important moment that night was the show. That was really what you were focused on, yeah?
No, at the end of the day, I mean, even still watching that film, at the end, I was just crying. As you can tell, I cry every 2 seconds, but I cried because it's like, man, I was really there, and I was a part of something that is still happening to this day, and to be in that room with everyone. A lot of the people that were there that night are gone, you know? There are a lot of people not here, and it was sad to see, and but still, like, wow, we helped change a little bit of the world, and that's what was important to us.
You have some Prince tunes in your set because you worked with Prince, didn't you?
Actually, he worked with me, so you're...
Ladies and gentlemen, SHEILA.
It's kind of true, but it's...
Well, give us, you talked about how your dad influenced you and what that meant, and you talked about an out-of-body experience on that particular night when your life changed. Talk about Prince and the moments with him, and what did he do to you and for you as a musician?
It's interesting because when I first met him, he was recording in the studio in San Francisco in the Bay Area. My dad was in the studio with Carlos Santana. My dad was in Santana at the time. And they were in, thank you. And they were in the studio at the same time, and my dad came home and said, there's this young kid in the studio, and he's playing all the instruments, and I think he's producing as well. And I was like, what's his name? Prince. I go, oh, I can't wait to meet him. He goes, you're not coming to the studio. Okay. So anyway, I met Prince at one of the shows. He came and played in San Francisco. And so this is when, right before his record was coming out, and then it came out, I went to meet him. I went backstage to say hello, and I got ready to shake his hand, and I put my hand out. I said, "My name is." He goes, "I know who you are." I was like, "Huh?" He goes, "No, I've been following your career. I saw you play drums with George Duke on Midnight Special and Don Kirshner's rock concert." I'm like, "Wow, okay, right? That's '80s, '70s, yeah." And so I was like, "Oh, well, nice to meet you." So we became friends instantly, and we exchanged phone numbers, which were house phone numbers at the time. We didn't have cells. He then started coming right away back to the Bay Area, and I'd pick him up and just drive him around and show him all of Oakland, share experiences. He loved the Bay Area because he loved the musicians. He loved Sly Stone and Carlos and all of the music that has come from the Bay. And then when I introduced him and had him to come and watch me play with my dad and my brothers, Latin jazz music, then he just said, "Forget it, that's it," almost like, "I quit, this is crazy." He's like, "Where did you guys come from?" It was so amazing. And he loved the fact that, playing with my dad and my brothers, it's something that he wanted to do. He wanted to play with his dad. He wanted to share that. And so we shared a lot of the same things, in a sense, as far as music, loving a lot of the Bay Area musicians and artists. But the cool thing for me, even though I played drums with George on a couple of songs when I was younger, I also played a little bit of drums in this local band. But when I got with Prince after we did the Purple Rain tour, he said, "I'm going to disband the Revolution, and I want to start a new band. You want to start a new band?" I was like, "Yeah." He said, "But I want to play drums." "Okay, so you're going to be the drummer?" I was like, "Heck yeah." I always wanted to play drums in a band, like the whole show. And so Silent at Times was the first time I played drums, like, as the drummer, and I had a blast. It was so much fun, but it was crazy because all of the things doing Silent at Times album, learning so many things, like how well, I knew that beforehand because we recorded in '83, but a lot of the times I was his engineer. I taught myself how to produce and record when I was growing up. All the money that I would save playing small shows, I would buy recording gear so I could teach myself how to be a producer and record. So I would punch him in playing guitar or bass or something where he couldn't get it. And back then it's not digital, so if you mess up punching him in, and he'd have to play it over again or something. But we got along well in the studio. One thing that was different that I learned from him that I loved, and why I went back to the recording studio was recording, is most of the artists that I played with during the time of recording albums, I was known as a percussionist who played a lot in recordings, a lot of albums. And the engineers and producers would take forever. Even for me, I was like, why are they taking so long to get a sound on my drums, my timbales or congas? It's like, it doesn't take that long. Like, a drum sounds like a drum. If you just leave it alone, it's fine. And they start tweaking it where it doesn't sound good, and then you go, that doesn't sound, come in the room and listen to me play. I want my drums to sound like that in the room, because then they're tweaking it and it just doesn't sound the same. With Prince, I would get in the studio, I'm not even putting the cymbal on, and he goes, 1, 2, I said, he's counting up. There's no, like, let's get a sound for the drums. They put a mic there, that's what it sounds like. Like, that's so dope. It's rattling and stuff is shaking, and they're like, we need to tape that. It's like, don't touch no, you're not taping it, that's the funk. Let that thing rattle, And the same thing with him playing. Like, if the guitar was buzzing a certain way, some guys would probably, and mostly guys at the time, would tweak and go, let's get that ring out. It's like, no, that ring, all of that noise and things in the instruments made it sound so much bigger because you didn't clean it up to make it so clean that the music would just do this, It didn't go anywhere. It was too clean. And there were no valleys, and it was
It's
just,
like you talked about spaces being important.
right.
Reality, mistakes, little things that
All
show
of
that there's humans playing.
Yeah,
That-
it was, yeah. So it had the songs that we played and just jamming, it had emotion. Like, you know, it was something, it was moving. You know, and a lot of times these producers and engineers, they clean up tracks so clean it just doesn't sound real to me. So that was something that I learned. I loved that he just left it the way that it was.
How you talk about working with Prince in the studio, and most people, I shouldn't speak for most people, but many of us would have a hard time working with someone that we were in a relationship with.
Oh, you had to go there.
Well, dude, the dude asked you to marry him. I mean, how do I not talk about that? And beyond, really, look, you're the kind of artist that you are. You grew up in that milieu, and he clearly influenced you, and you clearly influenced him. And it's an interesting blend. And when love comes in, it adds another color.
It does. It was amazing for a long time. It was wonderful, and then it wasn't, you know, which happens when you're working with someone that you really love.
Which came first? How did you sort of were working together, and then all of a sudden you realize, oh wait, we're sort of.
Oh yeah, no, we were friends at the beginning for a very long time, and then he kept asking, and I kept saying no because I didn't want to happen what happened. I was like, I'd rather, as much as I love you, I'd rather stay your friend. And then one night it happened. Jesus. I couldn't say no. Well, see, then this is what he did. I loved him, this part. While I was out on the Lionel Richie tour in 83, I left, Marvin to go to Lionel. 83, every city I went to, there were flowers from him. And I mean, not like just a dozen, like big arrangements with something said, I love you, blah, blah. I was like, he's wooing me. Oh, he got me with the flowers for an entire tour.
You just imagined that guy would be a romantic. You know?
Yeah, next question.
So what was it like in the studio when you two were recording Erotic City? That's my next question.
The song speaks for itself.
I didn't say anything about Carlos Santana. I could have, but I didn't. You know.
I have a thing for men that play guitars. I'm sorry. It's rock and roll, baby.
So, I want to, in a minute, see if anybody has some questions for you.
Oh, cool.
But obviously Prince was a major fork in the road for you and set you off in a direction, a great new direction. Can you talk about those years post-Prince, and even if you can get a little bit into, he hated the internet, Prince, and was really, he fought to get his stuff off. And I wonder, for you as a musician, as you move forward, and I've spoken to many musicians who, they go, the internet ruined my job. It's ruined me. How do you feel as you moved into the 90s and the 2000s, and all of a sudden the business changed, and it wasn't about, well, it was not only about finding magic in the studio, it was about finding magic in 30-second pieces of video that would flick across. How do you as an artist deal with that?
Well, to answer the latter of the question, it's challenging. Streaming has literally killed us in a way where we don't get paid. So those of you who don't know, in streaming, all streaming, I'd say if we streamed like 100,000 streams, we make $363. That with all of us writing a song, the 6 of us, we split. 1,000,000 streams is about $3,000. 1,000,000 streams, we'll never make any money. So when we put out $150,000 for a record, that's not including, because that's sometimes what it costs to do a record, and it's not including the videos that cost a bunch of money. And you're looking at sometimes $500,000, and they will not pay us not even $1 a stream. Like, we're getting a half of a cent, a penny. We're getting money that doesn't exist, and it's ridiculous and as stupid as the most ridiculous thing that has ever happened to music. And for us making a living, like, we can't even sell our product, and that's a lot of times why we say, I mean, I didn't bring my product here, but we have to like sell our product at the shows. Performing live is where we can make a little money, but it's ridiculous that we're one of few entities that do not get paid for our services, and it's a shame. So yes, it has killed us.
And it's a part of it. It seems, for me, outside looking in, is it's sort of forced more than ever that you, as an artist, have to deal with the business, you know. And we want our artists to not have to think about that, so that you can be brilliant. And yet it seems that the nature of the music business has really encroached on the art of the music business.
Well, you know, when streaming started, it's like they didn't come to us and say, hey, let's make a deal. We'll take your music and we'll give you, let's work out a contract. They went to the record companies. If you don't own your music, they went to the record companies and they just took it, and the record companies made the deal. The way that streaming works is they're making the money off advertisement. So it's a ridiculous amount of money that they make, and if you see how the guy from Spotify, how much money he made, $2 billion, and he won't pay me $1 per stream, is insane. And it's horrible. Yeah, so that's what it is.
I'm trying to think of who it was that I had a conversation with, who, I think it was Bryan Adams was talking to Richard Marx, two, hit machines, these guys. And Bryan was like, we need to turn off the internet. It really is as many amazing things as it has brought to us.
I mean, there's good and bad, but the thing is like, we all get sucked into doing the subscription to hear as many songs, watch as many movies as we want for $9.99. So it's the people, it's us. We have to stop using the services. But no one knows they don't understand. A lot of people don't understand. We don't get paid. Even the music industry now, movie industry.
Right.
And TV. They're trying to figure out how to fix it as well.
I've read that Napster is paying the most money for songs. Napster.
They started it.
They started it.
Yeah. That's crazy.
It's the idea of the music and business. It just fascinates me because you're in a position where you have to deal with both. And it's, if anyone has seen that series Severance, it's like one side of you has to be the artist and not even think about how you're getting fucked on the other end.
Well, I mean, this is why I do what I do, and I just try to educate people. In some of the shows, I end up talking about streaming, and then I say, when you can, if you can go and purchase our CD or our music online, either on my website or somewhere where they're selling it, that we would appreciate it, because that's all I can do. And I don't want to worry about all that. Business is business. We're trying to change it, for the better, not just for me, but the next generation that is coming. And I have many conversations with young people saying, you guys have to help us change the business, because you want to be an artist. I would rather you be an attorney, because you're not going to make any money. It's crazy. So just like I say now, when you can, you go and buy the SHEILA e-record, any of our records, or music, I should say. And if you go to my website, I sign them all and give them back to you. So that's a way to have a signature.